Howdy, folks. This is a test. This is to see how it is to be out here today, broadcasting. Trying to figure out what's going on, how all this stuff links together. Am I even capable of being a consistent voice out there? I really admire what Wobbly is doing with the Wobbly Python drawing circus. This isn't my art, by the way. Just letting you know. I don't really know who it is. It's part of a project I'm working on. It's a nice piece of inspiration. But Mr. Wobbly, he's working. He's out there getting it done. And he's got a show. And I admire that. And selfishly, but not selfishly, I mean, you got to toot your own horn. I'm going to be on his show. I'm saying all this up front. This episode is sponsored by some cold brew coffee I made and the fucking love I have for all of my other artist friends. I also knew that I couldn't draw on a live stream if I didn't get the music thing figured out. It's real hard to draw in silence. But then you also have to have some nice music that you can draw to, but it also has to be royalty free so you don't get muted. But then you also can't go through and leave a timestamp for every single song that plays in the credits. So you got to figure out how to display what songs are playing if you're gonna. You see how all these things are connected, friends? Yeah, so that's my mission today. I'm restarting my stuff, and I'm trying to get into my Photoshop. And I'm going to take a moment on my other monitors, of which I have several. I am blessed in that regard. I think that an expanding mind needs plenty of distractions, because that's really what they are. Having more monitors seems like it might help you get more work done, and sometimes you can invoke it to get a bonus when you're doing some really cool shit, but it's a lot of distraction. Makes porn watching interesting, though. I'm going to share this here on Facebook while Photoshop does its thing. On subversionmagazine.com org. I'm an awful friend for not remembering. What are we listening to now? Oh, yeah. See, that's the other fun thing. By going to the Free Music Archive, or I think that's what it was called. I spent several hours on there yesterday. I'm doing a thing and doing it live. Partially prove to myself I can come by if you want to help me grow. I believe that. So I gotta put the signal out there. I'm gonna share it. Share on a page. I guess this is the boring bit. This is the part that I hadn't actually thought through, how I can get all this out there. I guess because the URL doesn't change, I could put this out there moments before I go live each time. More research is needed for sure, man. All right, let's go to Google+. Drop this canned message in there. All this is on my other monitors for privacy reason. I hope you can't see this. But one of the things I need is the live dashboards. I need to see people if they're chatting at me on my other monitor. So I need to remember to look over here every now and then. Alright. Discord. Just spam it in all my Discords. Promote yourself. Dogs of the State, my main mens. Here we go, yeah. RPG Talk. I can do that in Arts and Crafts. And up here, I got another one. Creativity and Cthulhu. Alright, we'll see if anybody streams in, pun intended. I got my coffee. I got a new artboard going on. I'm gonna set this thing to, I'm like an 11 by 17 these days for some reason. Just for my farting around, making art. Yeah, where does my focus need to be while I drive this internet starship? I need OBS open, just to make sure my levels stay nice and good. Could I, if I turn my head to the side, I guess I need to be turned up a little more. There we go. Alright. We're getting in. We're getting it dialed in. Can I turn up my music just a little bit more? On some songs. And on some songs I cannot. 100 pixels per inch is fine. It's fine. I've been playing around with this some more. Here we go. Only that's not the way I want it. I messed it up. I need to go to image, rotation, rotate it. Yeah. Alright, literally rolling up my sleeves. Who's watching now? And if you are out there, if I'm talking to the ether, and there's even one person watching, say some shit in the chat. I'd love to see it. I need to know that that's working too. So, what am I doing here? Why am I even got Photoshop up? Apparently I'm an artist. I say that because I don't draw as much as I need to anymore. I'm holding a little figurine I made. I want to show you all about that, but you might have seen my Machiavelli's Myriad Motion. This is indeed part of that. So tonight I need to draw. I need to do it. I need to come up with some evil schemes. I need to make something for my mom for her birthday. I'm gonna make a little horse. I'm gonna try and hide my damn keyboard. I'm glad you guys can't see me. I'm not really comfortable enough to do all this with a webcam yet. This is the part that might mess up. Here's hoping this works. Alright. Yeah, it's working. But I'm gonna need to move my microphone, aren't I? Oh, microphone, you're always in the way. Can you guys still hear me at all? Do I need to turn it all up? Turn it up. Here we go. That doesn't sound like I wish it did. Any better? Any better? Nope. Ah, poops. I guess I could wear the microphone like right here. How bad is that for everybody involved? Probably not good on my cables. Kunk. Technical difficulties, folks. Yeah. How do I microphone and draw? Well, I got one of those Yeti microphones. I don't have it on the stand. Oh well, I refuse to be defeated. I'll just lean over and whisper in your ear. I've gone and figured it all up, haven't I? Excuse me. Here. Hopefully this comes back. Alright. It's gonna come back. We just need to get the right tool. No new anchor path. Just rotate the canvas. Here we go. Zoom in. Zoom in. We don't need so much trepidation. Here we go. Make a new layer. Get to drawing. Probably my pressure sensitivity has gone to shit for no reason. Yay, it's a whack-em. Nope, we got it. Alright. Boom, 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 boom. This is some pretty groovy tunes. I like it. So what am I drawing today? Well, my shit with my little creatures went very well. I liked it. It helped that I set my expectations low, but I drew this little dude. He was carved a lot like this, and I drew him in my sketchbook like this too. A little fur ball. I hope I painted him well enough that he looks a little furry. I think that when you look at him up close, he definitely does. That's partly because I carved that texture in there. I just really like that shape. I like dudes with big eyes. I had a gal that I just became acquainted with at the Halloween party bring up All Real Monsters. That is a perfect thing to be looking at for me. I love these. Just cute little awful creatures. Maybe this dude's like a flamingo. How'd my brush get so damn big? Anyway, maybe this dude's like a flamingo. Nobody in the chat, but kind of like remembering to look at your mirrors when you drive. I did look over there. I don't want to make this guy too complex, but I think he needs something. I think he needs at least one joint. Maybe it's a real low down one, because then his foot gets all like this, and he got a bird claw, right? We're saying some kind of bird. I think that's what we did by making him have a leg like that. And I feel confident in my ability to sculpt something like this. Into the night with Incomitatum. Yeah. So, one of the reasons I'm doing a show like this, last energy for the day. I tell you what, man, that's true. Shout out to royalty-free music. This is a pretty groovy song. I like being surprised. Anyway, let's shape this. I want some ringy shapes. But this whole thing is exercise. I think that you need to look at every single thing you do as exercise. It might not be all physical. And that is a scary word that turns a lot of people off. I understand, friend. I understand. I think self-discipline is something to strive for. It sounds good on paper anyway, right? Self-discipline. What does that even mean? More research is needed. So, yeah, I'm kind of drawing this like I would sculpt it. And that is to build up the shape. Cut it back, build it up, cut it back. Play with what I think is possible, what's easy to sculpt. Could I make this look like a chicken leg? And then, does this thing get a mouth of some kind? Well, I like a weird floppy mouth. It's kind of like playing Spore, isn't it? I mean, exploring what a fun creature could be. This is the part that makes me just overjoyed that I want to be able to do this. Make it a bit of a profession. I'm very inspired by stop motion and other clay. I'd actually allowed myself not to look in that direction because I didn't want it to be depressed. But one of my earliest childhood memories is a stop motion claymation movie. I don't remember the name of it well. It had some Christian folklore in it, and it was about Mark Twain and Halley's Comet. But yeah. So we put a bit of a nose on this one, and then we carve this back. Now, it's a little interdisciplinary. I don't want to futz with stitching socks and faces and pushing in hair. So I think that a lot of my hairy creatures are going to need a flare. This is all going to need to be sculpted, so I need to consider making it a little bit chunkier. Kind of like drawing Wolverine's sideburns or something. But yeah, I need bits where this hangs down. I need other chunkier bits. We can cut it out in an even-ish pattern. That could be fun. Give it some predictability and some symmetry. Just these triangles down here. It's all just iteration. That's how I mostly work. We got a Facebook message. What's going on? Did anybody... Nope, that's okay. Anybody over here? Did I even post it to Google+? I got a little caught up in what order to do stuff in. Yep. I could post it here though, right? Yeah. Forgot I was part of that other Discord. Back to the live dashboard on monitor number 3. One person is watching now, and I think that's me. I think that it counts because I'm looping it back so I can see how it goes. But I'm alright with that. So then the job is to, can I speak semi-intelligently as I draw? I hope so. How inebriated do I need to be to do that? Hopefully not very much. I like golden grams. So yeah, you can see that as I'm doing this, as I'm futzing around with this, I'm letting my... I'm feeling out the shape. In fact, I think that he needs a little bit of an eyebrow ridge. So then this would come out here a little more. It's starting to look kind of like those pom-pom dudes from McDonald's, I guess. And is that good or bad? Well, it wasn't meant to be homage or parody of that, but I'm also probably the only one who sees it right now. The other thing I'm going to do at some point is knock this way back. And the only reason I'm really drawing it this way is for YouTube. Because normally I zoom in and out a whole bunch, and I might do that some, but right now I want to capture a thing that looks good, big in the middle of the monitor. Open some stuff. Yeah, I'm working on a little children's book. I'm really blessed that I get to be included in that, because just exploring the character and the arc has been very cerebral and rewarding for me. And I hope that that continues to go well. I'm looking for something though. I think it's in my downloads. I'm I don't think there's anything too unfriendly in here. Oh yeah, I downloaded a lot of shit last night. This is what I want, because I want to talk about this more often. So, I'm going to be on Wobbly Python's Drawing Circus. I'll put that link somewhere. You really should just look for it on YouTube. He's got a Twitch. Oh yeah, it's going to be on Twitch. It's archived on YouTube. I'm going to be on Wobbly Python's Drawing Circus Saturday at 7 p.m. Mountain Time. This Saturday, November 3rd. Yes. James A. Andrews. I'm glad anybody is watching. I'm blessed to have somebody who is here with me right now. Yeah. So sorry about all that, and I hope that you're still watching. Life happens a little bit of a lag in Streamland, but yeah. James says it's like Aliens meets Baba Yaga's hut. Yeah, I'm down with that. I'm picturing that this dude, if I sculpted him, would be about the size, just a little bit bigger than well, about the size of a grapefruit from foot to head. Let's see, what is that? 6 inches? I got a Rick figure right here. He's about, yeah, like a 6 inches tall figure. And that really is a good level of detail to sculpt this stuff at, too. So I'm finding that if you try and go too small, it just is not great. Now, there's an accidental line I just made. I was trying to give more detail to this, and this is fun. Let me show you two things. That probably should have gone like this to show that he's got more of a, you know, more of a trunk. I need to carve this in better. I'm almost getting to the point where I just need to knock this back and redraw all over the top of it. But I could also make this a mouth, see? And this just an awful chin. I think that's just a little bit too much personality. It makes it seem a little more sentient. I want this to be a creature, an animal, something found roving. This is a fun song. Yeah, definitely. Doop doobie doop doop doobie boom boom. Put a little bit of a horizon back here. Maybe we can imply what kind of environment you'd find him in. I'm really struggling to come around my microphone because I like having it in my ear like that. But dang it, I might need to turn it around backwards or get a stand for it. Maybe this is better. Can you hear me all right out there in Radio Land? Yeah, so this needs to remain a snout. And I think, see, you got to remember that as a figure, this thing is going to be viewed from all different directions. So he's going to have to look neat from behind, too. Maybe we'll give him some colorful feathers or something. Wop wop wabba dooby dooby dee doop. Who is this? What does the OBS say? That is one hell of a title. Goes off the screen. That's great. I need more stuff by them. I love jazz. My good buddy Hensel and I were just reminiscing about how some nice jazz. And there's some of that in here. I was specifically looking for like some lounge or just, you know, this kind of stuff that reminds you that you're on NPR or that we're really here to have an intellectual conversation. I might be a little too loud in the mix. Let me turn myself down. Here we go. I think that's better. Just a little louder than the music. I gotta try not to do that ASMR stuff because I know that turns some people off though. Alright. Is there much more I want to do to this guy structurally? I don't think so. Looks like James, my one viewer, is now gone. That happened at some point while I was not looking over at monitor 3. Let me just keep this up here while I ramble a bit. I'm gonna get a drink of water. What is tonight about? Tonight is about archival purposes, if nothing else. Tonight is about getting all of these tools, Photoshop, OBS, SMG, YouTube Live, all of it working together, and seeing how long can I keep this contraption together before my internet craps the bed, my hard drive, whatever, some part's going to fail. How long can I do this? And will it go on long enough that I could make a cool picture? My main goal is to have enough people watching me, talking to me in the chat, that they influence some of my design decisions, because I love to create with friends. It's why I love the story-driven role-playing systems that I do. So, I also like wrinkles under the eyes. I think that it makes the eye pop a little bit more, but I do want this to be probably, see, those make him look like he has mean eyes. I do want him to be a little more of a dumb grazer, though. Vegetative chattel. Domesticated. Yeah, maybe this is some alien race's idea of a cow or a chicken. We boiled the feathers as an aphrodisiac. I don't know, man. I like wrinkles. I like the parts in Ren and Stimpy where a thing looks too real. So this is kind of an homage to my Ravenos that I just gave to Caroline. I was lamenting... So, you know, look, I'm not sad that I gave that little creature away. That was my plan. It warms my heart to know that he was so well received. But what I can say is that I had him together and painted for all of a day before it was showtime. So I need something like him that I can continue to show off as a fun little prop of what I'm capable of. A little representative. I got this fun little slime on a rock. Took some of this material, slapped it down on a rock because I had some leftover, carved in a face. I'm not going to turn on my camera to show him to you, but I will show him on social media in the future. And that's a fun little thing. Future promise. I just don't know if I'm really going to do this the way that I want. I think that the idea of these feathers is great, but they're sitting a little too high up. I did that so that they could be seen by you and me, but the more I stare at them, I'm not digging them. So they just need to be smooshed around some. I don't worry about being too clean with my lines at this stage. If the detail's so muddy that I can't tell what's going on, then that's where I start to go, you know, I need to push this here, pull this back, like, oh, that line, you know, it confuses my eye. But for now, I love this song, by the way. I had a whole role-playing campaign. Commas or colons are fun. So yeah, we had Hunter the Reckoning, essentially. No, Hunter the Vigil. It was kind of a play whatever the hell you want White Wolf game, wasn't it? But anyway, we had a whole thing named Lights in the Sky. See, that's fun. Again, yeah, I'm really just in here sculpting with black, but I did these little triangles. I did these little triangles on my wolf. And it worked out really well. I don't even normally like the color yellow, but it made it very tribal, natural feeling, a little bit Zelda. You can go look at those pictures on my Facebook. But yeah. Pushing the eye detail back a little more. Got these little leaves or fronds or whatever they are. They're a kind of evolutionary camouflage, whether it works well for this creature or not. In fact, given his height, maybe there are these rocks nearby that are kind of also shaped similarly. And they like to hang out between the rocks. Maybe I need to make this dude green and mossy looking. Same kind of colors. And so when you see this, one of these in the distance, you don't think anything of it. In fact, I could make there be some of these ferns around. And so, this is fun. I'm having a lot of fun. Even if I am the only one here, dang it. I'm having fun. That's what matters, right? Showing some personality, having some fun. And archival purposes. Anyway, here's a rock. We'll put some other shapes down. Definitely some bushes in the background here. Yeah, I'd have a wad of wire, or I might even put him on a little base when I make him. I probably will be how I have to do this. Have a piece of wire come up through here. Let's switch colors for essentially have a piece of wire or a dowel. Maybe I have a short piece of dowel. Yeah, maybe I build this guy up from the bottom. Have some aluminum foil feet. I should do all this shit on a new layer, shouldn't I? Let's do that while I work this out in my head. So, yeah, we'll have a wooden base. And, I've already decided whatever I come up with today is going to be something that I hold on to for a little while, but not give away as a gift. But alright, a little bit of a wooden base. I had to give it some dimensionality because I'm a dork like that. But I guess it helps me plan it, right? Maybe I could include the base in the picture. That's not too dumb of an idea in the illustration, if you will. It shows that I'm counting for it, right? Read. I guess so, man. Whatever. Alright. I do shit like this all the time, right? Just talk to myself in the dark. I'm not really in the dark, but yeah. Aboard my spaceship of the imagination. It's getting to be that time, dude. It's getting to be the point where we knock all this way back. And so way back is at least 33%. I have some magic numbers in my head that I like when I do this kind of shit. Ooh, whoa, yeah, what do we got going over here? Kid Knievel and DZA. Enough stickers. Yeah. I can't apologize for lyrics. I am the kind of dude who sometimes says the F and the S word. Foxtrot and Sierra. Alright, I've gone and knocked this back. Merged it. And now I gotta zoom in and draw over the top some. Now, this is also to show you that when I do a complete piece of artwork, I normally draw it 5 or 6 times. This is just to say that I like this dude the first time around. I'm just running with this because I want to respect your time and really show you the idea of how I work. The other nice thing is interpreting this. Now that it's pushed back, I'm seeing some things differently. Let me show you what I'm seeing here, even though this was never part of the thing. I'm seeing some weird eyelashes. And I think that kind of fits with the theme, right? Like the forest theme. So maybe we got these up here. And I'll have them ride the idea of this fold, because again, something so small is actually going to be a little hard to model. I mean, I'll get it done. I'll get it figured, even if it's just pieces of cardboard. But yeah. Kind of looks like a snuffleupagus now that I'm drawing it this way, right? I want to shout out to one of my Facebook friends. I met her at a hippie gathering in the park. I'm awful at names, so I gotta look her up because really I remember her Facebook picture. Trisha. I wish I remembered. Now I feel like a real jerk. Anyway. I also have this cord wrapped around my neck. I'm really strapped into this spaceship of the imagination, man, I tell you what. Alright, you know, the other thing I haven't done, even though that has for the stream, I haven't saved this. 2018. And, what did I call all this? Sculpting? Maybe it's just here. I do a lot of art stuff. Motion, derp. I even put it way up there. I need a better word for it. Alright. Snuffy guy. Alright. Yep, if I give him these big eyelashes, he ends up looking a little too much like Snuffy. From the Sesame Streets. You know, man, right? You were raised on them Sesame Streets. It might have been before your time. It's alright, kid. I appreciate you being around anyway, right? And cheat. At this stage, I'll keep baking in this highlight, even though later on I'll do it with colors. I'll do it with layers. But that's the other thing I didn't take time to do with my other figures because I didn't have the time. Once I decided to put my nose down and kind of budget and figure some shit out, I didn't have time to. So it's like, all right, we'll figure out the colors as we go. That was nerve-wracking, but as it happened, luckily I was able to invoke that wet palette, and that fucking helped me a ton. Cheat codes, man, just like I said in my last video that I haven't uploaded yet, but I was telling some of you guys at the party too about the wet palette method, and look it up or wait for me to talk about it more soon. But yeah, and this whole thing just feels, because I'm going to draw this one last time, so I don't mind warping it a bit, but see, I want to take it and massage it and push it out more. There we go. There we go. But I want a bit of a shape, which is why I'm redrawing this chunky. And let's admit that it is mostly going to be carved. I'm not going to make this thing actually furry, so I need to draw a profile that gets that point across for my own sanity. So, see, I like the way this whips down here. So kind of like a ghost from Pac-Man. His hair needs to be a little bit of a skirt coming down. And I did this as an extra piece. Essentially what I would do is I would stop the main model right here. Stop the bottom side of this blob, and so you can see his profile is going to be almost like a hemisphere. So he's not a full sphere. And then if you cut him in half, yeah, let's go to the Discord. Nothing, but that's all right. It's all right. I don't need company. It's just me and my imagination. I do need coffee. Hats off to my cold brew. It's almost like I planned to do this tonight. Not really, folks. He doesn't plan too far ahead. I could use a little more creamer. Ugh. Something's off with the mix. Anyway, so yeah, I do a little bit of a hemisphere here. And then this piece would be tacked on. I'd roll out a strip of it. I'd cut these triangle bits out, and then with a slipped finger, I would marry them together right up in here. I might do that. Trying to figure out my camera situation. The craftsman does an excellent job of showing him doing his thing. I need to ask him for like a behind the scenes video or something. And you know, if he's got this muzzle that comes down, and I think we have to highlight the profile by putting a triangle here. A little more frumpy actually. More here. Yeah, there we go. And it needs to have a shape. And then maybe this comes down like that. And these are the bigger V's, the bigger, chunkier details, so. And a little bird-like. Yeah, let's make this look like a little bit of a beak. Let's continue it up into the fur and make it bulbous. But furry. And so where you have these lines kind of terminating, I'd put another chisel in here at least. Maybe one down in here. You know, kind of stacked. Just above each of these. Almost not quite like brickwork. And maybe only every other one. So kind of well spaced. I need this to be a little rigid, a little gnarled. And I can push that around with my amazing little silicone brush. So, this is looking good. This is looking a little more like what I want. Really just carving with digital stuff. See, like this eye is up way too high. That's okay. This is the time to fix that kind of stuff. The idea of it needs to come around a little bit more so that I can show it off. We got two lids, or two wrinkles rather. Stuff is a little upbeat for what I'm used to. This music's thrown me off just a little bit, but it's not unpleasant, so I'm not going to be a judgy jerk and give it a big thumbs down. Maybe I need to see if there's royalty-free radio. But yeah, see how I put this here? I'll put the idea of that over here. And I'll put the idea in over here that these all, you know, they curve in on themselves. So, a little bit of symmetrical consistency. It's all bullshit, folks. Just quick and fast, dirty rules to see if you can make any of this make some sense. It's just the kind of little things that go through my head as I throw this out there. And again, I'm still being chunky with my line weight. This is a 9. The last time I draw this, after probably about a quick commercial break, because I'm going to need to bio. Look at this. This is important. I'm saying this is like a knuckle in the way that it's bendable, right? And you'll notice I got a couple blobby lines, maybe one down here too. But I should have more up here as it's ultra wrinkly because that's how it bends. It bends down a lot. Imagine this guy is actually he's looking, I bet this kind of dude has a good memory. So his vision is all around whopper, 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 whopper as he jumps up and down. And he's remembering all that's around him. And when he gets to a spot, he doesn't look down. He just extends this sock to sniff and mlam around his foot. And suck up probably insects. So yeah, he's probably more like a chicken. It's kind of like some alien chicken. Well, that wasn't planned, I promise. This is not my answer to the free-range chicken that Craftsman did. But you know what? If it fits, I have just a little bit of a following. You guys know me for some sci-fi stuff. Yeah, I think this is within my wheelhouse. So the other thing that needs to be knobbly is up underneath here. Probably some more of these little shapes. And on the back side, we need to put in the idea that these continue around so that I can shade that. And so this is like a weird knee. Well, I like you just fine, I think. Here in a minute, I'm going to turn off the underpainting, and you're going to see that this is thinner than you think it is, but it's getting some help portraying a thickness it doesn't have from my underlines. But yeah, I just want to get this down, blob it in here real quick, since I have to draw it one more time. Really, you're just deciding what side of the line you want to fall on your sketch with some of these lines. And making my mask was very similar because the material has a little bit of a memory, and so while it's blobby and squishy, you'd carve in a real thin line, and then as it dries and gets harder, you'd carve in another one in the same place. You just make that groove a little deeper. Once it gets real hard, then you're making that groove. You're riding it roughly with a pick tool. Pick tool. Let's turn this off for a second. So yeah, I need to come in and do the triangles up underneath the eyes. I think those are good. I need to do the back. Be right back. Bio. No, he should be a happy face. Give him a nose. Now he looks like a fucking goof troop. Alright, I'll be right back. Who knows what sounds the microphone picked up while I'm gone? If I'm just getting back, let me take one more time to go around the internets. Doing a thing and doing it live. Doing a thing, doing it live. Partially to prove myself I can. Come on by if you want to help me grow. That's what I said. Alright. What am I doing? I'm taking a bite of chicken. Because who's gonna judge me, huh? You? How about I mute the microphone? You don't want me smacking in your ear, that'd be rude, right? I've got a poor memory. Hello again, folks. It's me. I'm back. OBS says that I've been streaming for 53 minutes. That's pretty good, actually. I've got a pretty poor memory, but I got a good time sense. And I really do try to do that Pomodoro technique where you work for 30 minutes, 45. I think that the traditional is 30, but the whole notion is set a timer, work in sprints, see what you can get done, and when you measure things in small amounts like that, you'll see that you can go farther and farther each time. It's also great if you're a desk jockey because then you get to have a break. Take a break every hour, stretch. I sit in my chair way wrong. Here, sorry, you're gonna hear it get all squeaky. I sit wrong in my chair all the time. It kills my lower back. Grisha Stewart. That's who I wanted to give a shout out to earlier. She's probably not watching this. That's cool if she's not. The point is, her posts after I met her all too briefly at an enchanted event in the woods a few months ago, seeing her posts about positivity and not letting anybody stop you in this life from being your truest self. This is part of my new true self. I mean, it's part of who I always have been and what I wanted to do. And you guys are able to help me with that. I want to show off my creativity in an interactive way that other people can feel like they're a part of it, they can learn from it, and they can do this stuff themselves, because I believe that there is no secret in whatever sauce I've got. I want you to like it, but yeah. So, yeah, set the bar for yourself real low and be allowed to let yourself fail. Only one guy has come and watched my show tonight. That's James A. Andrews. That's what his top chat, that's what the chat says. So, and I'm okay with that. I really am. I'm not letting that destroy my self-esteem because I didn't measure for that. I don't care how many people watch this. Tonight was about, can I get the technology working the way that I need it to? So far, it's a success. I've been going strong for an hour. I'm coming back from a break. Want to talk about myself again just a little bit. I'm going to be on Wobbly Python's Drawing Circus this Saturday. 7 p.m. Yeah. On Twitch. And it's a drawing circus. I'm going to be up against someone. I don't remember who. I haven't checked the backstage 411 yet. But I'm going to be using a piece of software, and I'm going to be broadcasting in, and it's going to be great. It's going to be a lot of fun. That's the most important thing, kids. Have fun. At no point when I can't say at no point, there was one point. When my airbrush was deciding to be a real bastard, that's when I started to lose my shit and I was not having fun anymore. Luckily, my research has shown me that it was just a really shitty, poor quality, cheap airbrush. I was able to squeeze the trigger hard enough for just long enough to make it do the highlighting that I needed it to. And I'm going to send it back. 4 out of 10 would not order that thing again. Anyway, yeah, so you draw up things 2 or 3 times so that you can figure them out as the line work gets smaller. And just like I decided during the break, while I came back and looked at this, that's the other thing that breaks are good for, is they force you to look at your stuff differently all over again. I decided to help rope the eye and keep it in the picture. I want to have these leaves of this fern-like plant that is really just here to tell the story of why this creature kind of exists, to tie it in. Anyway, I wanted to have the leaves on the other side. And I might need more decoration out here. I might need to include these fronds better. Just to imply some stuff in the background. Let's leave that solid and dark and come up here and essentially get the same things in. We got a couple rocks. I need to take my time the last time I draw these on the last layer, but let's just put the idea of a few of them in here. Need something back here, maybe a little stump. Stump implies a certain scale, though. Maybe it just needs another rock to show that it hides amongst these rocks. So yeah, we'll put, if 1 is good, then 3 is better. But and if I had the time or patience, I would draw more of these guys in the back. Maybe I will. In fact, this one could be another one. I'll work on that better in the future. The next layer, I'm gonna have a smaller thing, smaller brush, chisel, pen tool, something, whatever, man. This episode brought to you by Cold Brew. I didn't take the time when I went to bio during the break to get more creamer. Maybe I just didn't stir it. I probably didn't stir it. That's probably what happened. Well, stirring helped a little bit, but not much. All right. The other thing we need is this thingy tool. That's the worst time. When I have to reach over here and change tools, I have to reach around my microphone. So really what that's telling me is I just need to get good at knowing the hotkeys to change my tools. Select, transform. I'm feeling a little better about this transformation sequence. There we go. And what are we using? If I'm using a 9 brush, then probably around a 6 is good. Yeah, inside. That's fine. That's just fine. We'll do one more. But we'll come down some to give it thickness. This is how I cheat, friends. And we'll do one more. Do one more of these to make it. There we go. Just a grimmer and handsomer. All right. So those lines are fine. It's these lines that really just gotta go. So come in here and remove this. Shade that in some. Show it on a base. There's nothing wrong with that. In fact, I could leave this wood, but then put little rocks and stuff on here. A little piece of a 2-liter soda bottle or something. Couple blades of grass. Running around sniffing up bugs. Alright, this and the rest of the background are part of this layer. Let's zoom in on these because I want to get them good and chiseled in, and I want to imply that these lean this way a little bit. This one, yeah, let's say there's only 5 of them. So we technically wouldn't even see the other one around this side. I want to say that this one loops out like that. So these are kind of going to be, maybe I need to do these out of cloth mache. That one's technically not even right, in my opinion. Let's say it comes over here more. Is that a 7-feathered or a 5-feathered nicker root? A chromulus blorcher. Boop, 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 boop. Well, the music thing's been working out so far so good. Seems like it's broadcasting it perfectly. I get to stream. I'm really blessed that that's working out. I like the fact that with just a little bit of a plug-in, I can give credit where it should be due. All right. Oh yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of those. See how that just made it so much better? Oh, and I want to continue this line around there. Okay, what do we got going on? A little more detail in here. No, let's chisel in the final details at the end. So, what does that mean? That means right now we need to go bigger. I need to make sure we saved it. I need to take my hoodie off because it warmed up in this house. Squeaky chair is squeak. Oh my goodness. Here we go. Alright. It's like Alien meets Baba Yaga's hut. Yes, Baba Yaga. Yay, some lady who's running for governor decided that that was worth paying for so that it would ding my Facebook and lead me to believe that I had a genuine notification about myself. Because that's what ego is, right, friends? It's all about me, 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 me. Alright. If we're doing this, then I don't mind the de-resolution of squishing this down just a little bit. Making this worthy for Instagram. So then this I'm going to do by 50%. Now remember we did it and then we merged it. So this is technically like it's 25%. If I do this by 50%, see how it is now? Yeah. In fact, I can even go less than that on some of these. Let's just do 30. And let's do this at 30 as well. That seems fine. Doopy 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 doop doop. Doopy 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 doop doop. Doomy 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 doop doop. Alright. I'm just taking a look at it. Just taking a little bit of a break. Remembering to breathe. Again, you're strapped to this chair. You're doing it all day. If you're self-employed or you're an artist, my good art friend Mel probably knows all about that. You need a little bit of desktop yoga in your repertoire, so I got a fly on my screen right here. So OBS seems to have gotten better too. It seems like it's actually going to show you where my brush is. The older version, the last time I tried to do this a couple years ago, I had to leave it on crosshair mode, and that kind of ticked me off. So, but what are we doing? Right now, I am going to up the resolution. This is what it's at right now, because remember, we did inches. And why would I do this? Well, because I want it to fit on an 11 by 17 piece of paper. It's kind of the biggest I would want to go with this, right? If I did a print. But I'm going to beef this up to 300. Just roughly 4 times bigger. It's actually just a little bit bigger. But I like this because by starting at 72, that keeps my lines on the thinner side. Because what am I going to do? I'm going to come in here and beef this up to 15. Well, what's 15 divided by 4? What's 16 divided by 4? It's 4. So this is telling me that when I shrink it down and put it on the web, I'm saying that I want about a 4 pixel line weight. Well, what's 10? Well, it's even less than that. Because, yeah, this is going to get shrunk. And I am still going to allow myself to work with the pin pressure. I've been experimenting with not doing that sometimes. Just keeping the line a solid thickness the whole way. A lot of animation and comic book stuff is done that way. You can see at this resolution I'm willing to imply some extra detail that's not necessarily there. And that's mostly because on these bigger lines here, I would take the time to model a little lump, and on the smaller lines, I would just chisel those in lightly. This is a pretty groovy little tune. More broke for free, which I can dig. Yeah. Then I can also look at the weft of the lines up underneath it and still take a little bit of direction from the sketch. So if I come back here and I make this whole thing about 25%, and I turn off the, this is what the final result's going to look like. And I don't hate that. I do not care for that variable line weight, though. I don't think I'm a big fan of it. I think I need to go back up to 15 and be a little more decisive about some of my strokes. Because it seems like I was trying to have the best of both worlds right there, which I can do just a little bit, but I want the line weight to be mostly consistent. It's a little bit better. See how this gets blobby on the fringes? First of all, I wasn't zoomed in at 100%. Second of all, some of these little blobby things are going to go away when you shrink it down for public consumption, because it's going to get lost in the resolution exchange, and that's okay. You actually want that. That's why you work at a larger resolution than you need, because it allows you to be a little more loose and sloppy. But I'm riding this line too because it's the transition between the tuft to fur and the nose, and I do want that to come off as thicker, but not that thick in some places. So carving it up, putting it back, carving it up, deciding what I want where. These thin lines are still mostly possible. They're just a little thicker than the last ones now that my brush is at 15. And if I have the time tonight, I hope to color this. I hope to be here long enough that folks will go on that journey with me. The shape of this eye is a little nebulous. I am seeing it more like a dopey cow eye. But I do want it to be solid black. I did that with the Ravenous last time, and it turned out real well. But I also want these bits to come off as a little curlier than they are. I don't know what this song is about, dudes. It's alright. We're going to keep it in rotation. It's not so bad. It's just strange. But we want to apply these folds here. I like these folds underneath the eyes right there. It's just a happy little animation. Yoink, yoink. And these are not, these on the bottom should not be seen as eyelashes. In fact, I know I'm going to make them different colors, whatever I choose. I'll put enough of a little dimple right in each of these to imply that they're a little more like leaves, I guess. It's looking good, right? I'll carve this in semi-manually as a guide for me. I think that's also why it was looking like a cow eye, is this weird pillow jelly bean shape. Reminds me of their pupil, even though it's, in this case, I want it to be solid black. An hour and 15 minutes in, it looks like I have another viewer. I said it's kind of like driving. Take the time to look in all your mirrors. I've got 3 monitors. Monitor 3 is showing me I've got a second viewer. And, you know, if you take the time to say hi in the chat, I will say hi back. I hope it's in a timely fashion. Anyway, I was zoomed in on this eye. I was liking where this was going. It was feeling good. I like this swoop. Remember, I gotta come in and actually work in these little details again, though. Let's turn on this layer. Now we can kind of see what's going on. Alright. Let's go back over here. Just these little details. Now, some of them need to be big, and that was the thing I was seeing. It's kind of like a 3-to-1 ratio. For every small carved line I did, I wanted a big one. Just kind of like I have these big V shapes here. Shoink, shoink. These are actually going to be raised up just enough. Going to make some clay triangles. Press them down. They're going to get thinner. From a profile, they'll get thinner like that as they get closer to the clay. And it's really when I make these next marks that they'll... Well, I should make them lighter. When I make these next marks that they'll really start to stand out. Whoa, my brush is huge. That's why everything feels wrong. It's sometimes I bump the knob and it just way too high. Fractopia, it's Todd Foley. Foley? Checking in on me. I am blessed that anybody is out there receiving my signal in the dark tonight. Thank you for that very much. I appreciate your existence and encouragement. Whether you expressly gave it or not, just being here is encouraging. So, let me take a moment to show you what I'm working on if you weren't here. And for the viewer at home, I'm working on the base idea for my last sculpture. It's a bit like sculpting itself. You would have seen me block this in crude fashion. Eventually I get it to a point where I like the idea, so I drop these lines over the top. These are cleaner. And by the time, now that's what I'm working on now, is trying to get in here and get some real clean, thin, Moebius-like lines. Once my good friend Juan Ochoa pointed out that the dude who I had been admiring for years, doing some of the art in Heavy Metal Magazine, had a name. Well, I kept his name on my tongue. And I think it's pronounced Moebius. Mobius. Whatevs. But yeah. So yeah, even though it's with line, this is a kind of sculpting as well. And it's real invaluable because it helps me work out in my head what design decisions might work out when it comes time to do this in clay. I talked about making him feel like a Pac-Man ghost a little bit. He's going to be a blob that stops about here and then have a little fringe. A little bit of a skirt that I cut these chunks out of. And that's why I'm making these lines a little more bent than normal. I want them to imply that they're furry, but I also want them to be fun and not just plain old triangles. This is going to be a fun groove, a fun transition. I'm going to have to carve it a little deeper. A little bit of a switchback. And up in here too. Let's do that. These also kind of remind me of the teeth that were on my wolf mask that I just did, but I need to get pictures of that up on Instagram. Fractopia says he was one of the greatest, without a doubt. Yeah, and he really taught me, as I have evolved into a more comic book illustrated style with clean lines and gradients and focusing on value, that thin lines have a place in art. Like, I had a teacher who criticized my style once because I was doing the thing where you got the dude and he's got the details, but then, you know, you do a thick outline around your character to really make them pop because you don't understand contrast well enough to do so otherwise. I mean, sometimes it's a design choice, but I didn't like being told that basically I was doing that out of my own artistic ignorance, but 'twas the case, apparently. You can go back in some of my older art and see that I did that, so... I think once you're aware of it, then you can actually make it a choice, rather than, well, am I just doing this because it seemed easy or other people were doing it too? But yeah, I need to apply these fur shapes because I want this awful weird little fur, alien fur chicken to have these wefts. Is that even the right word? Weft? Tufts? I guess the weft implies the direction that the fur is going, and yeah, I guess these lines do that, so... He's gonna get some stuff bunching up here, though, with the way I have the flow of this going, and maybe that's for the better. Maybe he needs a little bit of a nose ridge. I'm liking that idea, actually. I like to imagine what kind of sounds this creatures would make, and I said earlier, I imagine that his line of sight actually is such evolutionary that he actually can see quite a bit all around him. And that actually means that he's got a bigger brain than most birds, because he remembers. He's got like a little bit of a photographic memory, as like the Curiosity rover. He just maps the land, and because he doesn't look down when he eats, he just extends this tube down and sniffs all around his foot, sucking up bugs and pebbles and stuff, and maybe spitting pebbles back out. I don't know. There's been a little bit of a story as I was doing this. It's important to think about their biology, no matter how fake it is, right? I think so. Drinking some more cold brew for a second. Gotta take a break. And water as well. I mean, caffeine is great, but if you don't hydrate, you're killing yourself. Let's check in on the social medias one real quick. Nope. No one's replied over there. But Fractopia has. Fractopia's here. Let's not ignore our one friend who's still out there in the dark. From the kingdom of Nye. This is... I've been trying to think of a character. So I said Machiavelli's Myriad Motion. I like alliteration. But a character who makes these things, because I imagine each of these little sculptures is kind of a little Horcrux that I'm making. I say that because, you know, they take time. I gotta come up with the idea. I'm gonna sit in a stream tonight. I gotta figure out how it would go, and then I still gotta make the darn thing. Should I show some teeth up in here? Hide some teeth back up here in the darkness? That could be a little bit fun. Nothing, there's something back up in here, some extra lines. Maybe I gotta put some teeth on before I put on this skirt here. But yeah, it's fun to have a little bit of a broadcast stream, knowing that even if no one's out there listening, then I am getting this archived. This happened. My undulations throughout space and time. I'm not saying they were worth anything, just saying that it happened. Fractopia. That sounds familiar. I know I should know that. Is that associated with Mr. As If? What do you want to tell me about Fractopia, Mr. Fractopia. Mr. Todd. Jean Guérard. Gouillard. He says that was Mr. Mobius's real name. Moebius. Yeah, because he was French, right? I think so. Question everything, folks. Even what you think you know. Oh, hey there, Todd. I am sorry, actually. I feel rude that I don't know who you are. That is to say, as a marketing guy myself, for my day job, I believe that if you don't toot your own horn, nobody else will, especially when you're starting out. So if you rarely shut up about it, I would like to hear all about it all again. Or if you've spent too many words and hate repeating yourself like I have, just drop me a link to whatever you got going on. And that'll probably jog my memory too. So, yeah, hey, I did it. I figured it out. I guess we are on also a little bit of a lag, so. Yeah. I got the memory of a goldfish, man. But I figure that you like some tunes like this. I associate your whole vibe with like that Coast to Coast AM. Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse, X-Files style. I hope that's what you want to come off as, because that's what I get. I was saying earlier, I'm designing this thing to be a little more like a knuckle, so it's got these big bumps on the back and a lot of, you know, look down at your own finger. It's got, maybe I need to nix this line. But yeah, it definitely bends and extends more around here. Well, hey man, I tell you what, Mr. Foley, Todd, Fractopia, whatever you prefer to be called, if you ever need some art, I would love to be part of your publication somehow. I hope my weird creatures and aliens and planets, and I think you've seen some of my stuff enough in the past to know that I got a bit of a strange imagination myself. Dude, what was that last song? I really liked it. It was like, Last Dance. Picked up a couple songs for the repertoire tonight that were marked Americana, which I like, that just rambly, echoey guitar. Reminds me of a pool hall in the middle of nowhere with one sad girl singing the songs. Alright, that's enough for the trunk for now. Let's get the rest of this head done. Start with the eyes, because they're super important. I'm going to turn this off a second. You rock on, man. Yeah. I've gotten a little more psychedelic in my older age, a little more. I'm definitely much more of a hippie than I used to be, so. I dig the subversive vibe of some writings and comedy, satire, Fear and Loathing style. A friend of mine just gave me a book that I hope makes my prose a little more poetic. My pose. Derp. Wait a minute. If that dude's got these triangles over there, he's gonna need some over here. Or she. Yeah, how do you tell the males from the females? Ding ding, I'm getting dings. Someone's dinging. It's my friend Alan Moon, who I'm live. And I'll just drop the link in. And, sorry, buddy. If you want to come talk in the chat, that's great. But otherwise, I'm doing this thing right now. Parthenogenetic. Tell me more about that. I'd love to hear all about it. Parthenogenetic. Normally, I would take time out of my day and just Google it. But forgive me if I don't this time. Oh, yeah, without sex. Does that come at a higher evolutionary energy cost? I really don't know. Like, do they have to eat a whole lot if they're that kind of creature? These little dudes mostly eat bugs. Well, wait a minute. Some snakes have virginal births, right? I dig this song. Well, this isn't exactly like the other eye, and that's ticking me off. This is a little more bulbous. Google says a type of reproduction, insects and flowers. Nice. Well, I could run with the flower theme in this. Yeah, maybe they just squat up like, well, yeah, like, I could actually believe that these were more some messed up Cabbage Patch Kids than the real Cabbage Patch Kids. Ugh, that line just went all wrong. See, kids, sometimes your lines go wrong, and that's because you weren't zoomed in like you were supposed to be. He's kind of got his hair slicked back. I think what'll also be good, because I'm going to build the tail of this after everything else, so it'll help hide it. So I can do a lot of carving down the back. It's going to be a real bear to paint in between the tail and the body. I need to design a little butt for this dude, right? If he's got this kind of shape out here, and maybe he needs just a little bit of a bulge in the back to separate the tail. He's got 5 feathers, right? So just some rough shapes. Ding! But that's my buddy Moon again. But yeah, so this is maybe what his butt looks like. I'm just going to leave this here for future reference. He needs me to send him a logo later. Probably later. Oh, look. Alright. Oh, hello, friend. Oh, and here he is. So, he wants to see the whole progress. Let's talk about progress just a little bit, especially with my friend Moon here. Let's go over to my Google Photos if I can get my browser to behave. Figuring out the music situation really saved my sanity. I couldn't do this if it was quiet. I hope it's still broadcasting the whatever's playing. Here are my dudes. Dude, here's my dudes. Anyway, this is what my last figure turned out like. I gave him away. I purposely wanted this to be one of those weird hippie gifts. I made him for Halloween. I wanted to give him to my host. I wanted this to be one of my Horcruxes. I want this to be a piece of me that I am okay with just giving away. But I'm realizing that now I don't have him. Well, you gave him away. But no, it'd be nice to have him to show off in my hand as I take him around places. So, here's some more pictures of him. Here's how my mask turned out some. I used some cheat codes for sure. You can Google zenithal highlighting or the acrylic wet palette. I talked more of those in a video that I thought that I uploaded, but I guess I never hit the upload button, so I need to upload that later. Yeah. So tonight I'm working on another little dude and trying to figure out what I'm going to sculpt. Last time I had to hit the ground running so quickly, I didn't even have really time to figure out his color palette. So in getting all my tools to come together tonight, I want to stream. I want to see if I can get the OBS to show what music I'm playing. And this really just is a proof of life test to show that I can do this at all. So thank you both for joining me today. I'm honored that you're here. What's going on here? How can I figure this out better? I guess like that. But yeah, Moon, I'll look around in my files here after a bit and get you one of those. Well, if he's got... Yeah, this ridge. So I've got an idea, and this probably doesn't make a lot of sense to the camera right now. I'm hoping that when I add value to this shape, it comes out better. But a little bit of a nose ridge. I guess he needs a little bit of a dimple down here. If it's going to do that. And then I guess I'll put a bulge like that right here. Maybe they bump into each other a lot, so they got a little more of a... like a conker. Some places call them conkers. I don't remember what they're really called. You got a new little wood burner, laser engraver, Moon? Is this that creepy cool 9 Inch Nail song? I bet it is. What's OBS say? Yeah, from Ghosts. So that's cool. This becomes like a nose ridge, almost like a little bit of a piece of horn. I like that because then I get to kind of carve it, almost like a little piece of antler, make it all knobby. Oh, and a vinyl cutter, yeah. That's hot. I got a good friend of mine, Donovan Johns, with Lion Tamer Beard Care and Volt Vapes and doing the race cars. He streams virtual race car driving, and it's pretty cool. I want this thing to be grotesque. I don't want too many little knobbies, but maybe 2 or 3. So I want them to be a little asymmetrical. Just like that, he's got a weird bumpy ridge. I don't think I like it. I don't think I like it one bit. How far can we go back? Not quite far enough. Oh well. It'll just have to be one of those things left on the cutting room floor after all. Yeah. I do feel that this is a big space that I could put something in. And I'm working these shapes in mostly in V's, to where they kind of imply that they come together and overlap hard like these other triangles. Because again, it's not going to be real hair. I'm not going to go out and buy the craft hair. And I could take this over the top. Some sculptors who I've followed on Instagram lately, they make all sorts of weird, awful little pets and have put glass cadaver or taxidermy eyes in them. They'll buy hair from Joann's and sew a stitch. A little bit of a unibrow. Okay, yeah, let me try that after I get these hairs in. Just the idea of them. I think that's enough, right? I don't have to be upside down unibrow. Alright, let's put in another layer and just be blocky and creative. If he's got a brow, then That's pretty cool. Like Ed, Ed, and Eddie. Oh, I see what you're saying. Moon, I had some baby quail I tried to raise when I was real young that had this disease. They didn't last for, I don't think they lasted for more than a month, but whatever it was, kind of like little friars, they went bald on the top of their head first. Yeah, maybe this dude needs a little bit of a bald spot. I won't make it exactly the brow, but that's that's fairly cool. Thanks, buddy. Let's work that out. Alright, so from just above the brow, just a little bit of a crown. So then this needs to be all dumpy. And the little friend that I chiseled today, who's sitting on my desk, I don't have my webcam on, I'd love to show him off. He has this kind of pattern, a little ghost-like blobbiness at the bottom. And here in a minute I'm going to make this bald and round. And just a little inward. Not the inward, just a little inward from the rest of this. So then we'll give him, imagining if I'm going to paint this later, we'll give him some lever spots. That's awful, Moon. I love it. Yeah, he's got a little bald friar spot now. All just because I asked for outside input. My lines are getting blobby. That means I'm not zoomed in enough. I gotta paint over him and add well, I'm gonna add value first and then I'm gonna paint over it tonight. This stream will go on as long as it can, barring any outside complications. I'm almost done with the outlines. I'll give myself some more grog. Well, I guess grog implies alcohol. I'm just drinking some coffee tonight. Some really, really strong coffee. Now it's time that we all take a moment and look inside. I assume you guys are hearing the music in the background, right? So, Moon, since you ask, I actually have a bucket of bones that I've been saving. Like a KFC bucket, not quite, but it's about that big. And as we eat more and more, like tonight we had rotisserie chicken, and I've always been the dude who's real thorough and I can strip every effing piece of meat off of a chicken bone. And that was going to be in my original sculpture, but I thought, you know, I could drill or Dremel at odd angles and get some big, thick gauge wire and wrap that around the knuckles, well, you know, where two bones come together, and then I can build in fake kneecaps and shit with this epoxy sculpt. And then when you prime that whole thing, you can just make it look decrepit and bony, and yeah. Halloween's going to come and go, but I've decided to finally become the goth kid that embraces Halloween, because I was never really into it once I couldn't trick-or-treat anymore. But I'm like, you know what? Yeah. I always wanted to kind of work for Leica. I love the fact that The Nightmare Before Christmas is a technological feat. And it's like, let's start working with more materials, and let's be I'm going to die someday. This has become part of my pitch. People don't really care for it, but you know, I'm aware of my mortality. And I want people to say, well, he knew the end was coming. And so, in all that, I've really liked that these sculptures are more, they're tangible. I can fucking hand it to someone else and say, I made this. I blew 20 hours of my life making this. I hope that you receive it with the love that it was forged with. So, yep, I'm just a big hippie sometimes. He's got kind of a meaty chicken leg. What if I decided to make the... What if I decide to take pictures of actually making his leg out of chicken bone and then putting clay over the top of it and be like, you know there's real chicken bones in there. I have video evidence. But those cadaver guys do that too, where they'll take a Neanderthal skull and they'll just lay the strips of muscle on top to kind of figure out what he looked like. So I can always bullshit that I needed the chicken bones to show me what the real underlying chicken creature would look like. I don't. I would have already figured that out. I also noticed that his meat pinches together like a lady with ham elbow that you might run into at Kmart. I don't know. I don't know why that memory was so specific just then. But yeah. You know what I mean. Some ham elbow. Alright, so here's the shit that I never really did define too well. I do want it to be a little bit like a talon. Let's figure out where there's begins and ends. Almost done with the lines. Then I get to put in the value, which is one of my more favorite parts. What y'all want to talk about tonight? Thanks for joining me out here in the ethos as I broadcast into the darkness from the county of Ada in the state of gems. This is Incomitatum's Bullshit and Art Hour. Well, somebody left. It was either Moon or the other one, Mr. Todd. That's okay. I don't need tangible, measurable friends to be able to know that I have self-worth. It's bullshit. I have bought too much into the like and subscribe culture, haven't I? Or I wouldn't be here, right? Isn't that a safe assumption? I think that if I take the time to do one of these strips, then I need to do a few more. Well, thank you for still being here, Todd. And Moon, I love you, but you can eat a dick. He's a good enough friend that I'll tell him that. Is that a 2 or a 3 down there? Yeah. We know each other. I can say that kind of stuff in love. Alright. I need this to be an imperfect inside because I want it to look lumpy. Because I want to actually build it up a little bit like a diorama. Diorama. I want these to be little pebbles. Actual little rocks that I go and get from outside. And so then I gotta zoom in more if I want this to be a clean line. Mostly clean. And move from your elbow, not your or your shoulder, not your elbow. And know when to sacrifice the line and just stop. Sometimes you just gotta marry up 2 lines because that's not gonna work out for you if you don't otherwise. So sometimes pushing your pen across the page rather than pulling is easier. Or pulling rather than pushing. Hey, Todd, do you mind dropping a quick link to your deal in the chat? Not only is it archived for whoever watches this in the future, but then I can go and... I know that I could hunt it down my darn self, but I'd like to listen to one of your Fractopias again soon. Should just subscribe to it. Didn't you am I full of shit, or didn't you have some content that I could listen to? I thought that it had an audio element. My arm is getting a little tired, because that's just the way I've been holding it to compensate from the microphone. Does that look like shit at 25%? Not too bad. Getting a wee bit warm in this house for this time of year. I'm going to call that good enough. If I hide the other lines, it's looking nice. Work on the background. I've almost got it done. Then I can call it for a moment and go take a break. Yeah, you did. It's alright. I'm gonna draw another one of these back in here real quick if I can freehand him. Shoom, shoom. I guess it's also good because it makes me focus on... Ah, damn it. From this angle, he looks like a fucking Cubert. I guess he's gonna have enough personality that he won't actually be a Cubert. But... dumb. Dang it. Oh. Well, that's a bummer, man. It's a little bit of a bummer. Yeah, this is a quick and lazy version of one of these guys, but, you know, they do that in cartoons sometimes when someone's in the background. They'll just change how they do the eyes or whatever, but I've got these rocks and stuff back here because I want you to see evolutionary how and why they blend into their surroundings. Like if you're just seeing the top of one of these. And now, because they're going bald, I'll go ahead and say that the rocks are too. Like, for some reason, the moss doesn't go all the way to the top of these rocks. Last time on How It Was Made, we made a Ravenos. Yeah. I haven't named this little dude yet. It should say something about his personality. And if we can work in a deadly sin, that'd be great too. I imagine these guys are rather slothful. They kind of just stand around derpy all day. They're not quite a Snorlax, but they're only intelligent in that they're very aware of their environment. They've got a photographic memory when it comes to remembering their environment. They might not have a quick initiative speed, though. The way they jump up and down. I have another picture of a robot that I want to make that's a unileg. He's got a little cactus on his head and he's trying to pogo around to keep it in the light. I think that those lines are blobby, but at this resolution it's okay. A wee bit blobby, that's right. The microphone's sensitive enough to pick up the fact that I draw on cardboard because I got tired of replacing the surface of my Wacom. So I got a big piece of thin cardboard for $2. And I use these clamps from Walmart and I clamp it to the top of my Wacom all ghetto style, but it works real well. I would rather clamp it and be able to remove it if it gets crappy, or yeah, when it inevitably gets too coffee stained or thin in some areas. Any kind of glue or adhesive that I would have tried to use. Oh no, I did have another version of this where I used double-sided tape, and that went all right, but not good enough. I need to make the bottoms of my rocks a little more sharp. And I think we have some rocks nearby that imply that they were spit out during volcanic. Like the lumpier the boulder, the more that it was formed during times of high heat and vomiting rocks out, I think I heard once. So maybe the terrain in this area is real craggy. But wet also, because we got moss, right? Maybe I should draw these indentations of where they've left their footprints. That's fun. Chicken prints. Maybe I can have them filled up with a little bit of water. Yeah, I imagine this area is actually rather wet. Humid. Then again, I prefer that climate. I've always wanted to move to one of those places where it rains all the time, because I got to spend my 7th birthday in Scotland, and the grey and green was just so pretty. Alright folks, that's the background. Should merge these two layers after I delete the horizon in a couple places. But I think that gets me. Yeah, I'll merge these. Hide that. And put the butt on another layer, and I'll draw it nicely later. But I'm gonna start putting stuff into folders down here. Sketch. Lines. And yeah, so I'm going to take this moment to save the file and refill my coffee, refill my water. If you would help the channel out, share with your friends that I'm in here. That'd be super great. Help raise a little bit of awareness. I hope that I've been pleasant to listen to drone on. Be right back. Alright, then that thing ended. That song is over, and I just happen to be back. I've got my famous, or rather infamous, cold brew powering me into the night. I'm going to check on the conditions. Music's going. We've been streaming for about 2 hours, so again, that Pomodoro thing, I hadn't looked before I left, but you know, that was good, good timing. Stopped at the hour mark, the 2 hour mark. This isn't picking me up like it should. What's going on? Oh well. I love this song. I made a Lost, for the TV show Lost, I made a fan video to this song. It was the first time I ran into YouTube censoring a thing because of, well, I mean, obviously legal reasons, so. Here we are. I want to take a time to mention I'm Incomitatum, also known as Andrew B. Chasen. I'm going to be on the Wobbly Python Drawing Circus this weekend, this Saturday, November 3rd, at 7 p.m. Mountain Time. I got to show up an hour early, reminding myself of that. And Moon is messaging me, wishing me good night. That's so nice of him. And thanks for still being in here with me, Tom. Alright, let's get back to it. I got that infamous cold brew. Rotisserie chicken and plenty of water. I need to come in, and now I'm going to work on value. And you'll notice that I draw on a 50% gray background, and I have reasons for that. Good ones, I'd like to think. It's time for Uncle Andy's art lessons. I hate that name, by the way. I guess I'm the only dude allowed to call me that. I've decided that if I end life somewhere between Rick and Grunkle Stan, that I'm pretty happy with that. Let's talk about value real quick. Here are 2 dots. Here's a black box. And a white box. The other reason I'm doing this is I'll be able to point to it after the stream in a highlight reel. But automatically these two things start to look a little different, just a little, because they're on 2 different backgrounds. This looks brighter than it really is, this looks darker than it really is. So I like the 50% gray because it doesn't lie to me. Not as much anyway. All of reality is a lie, dude. Yeah, let's not get into that. First thing I want to do is mask this off in a workable area that kind of hides. Right back here? Yeah. Okay. And I know I want things to be fairly dark. I had a friend who was working on a piece that was like this, and it was real dark in the background. So I'm going to set this to multiply, and I'm going to set it to about 50%. From here on out, I'm really only going to work in black, but I'm going to knock it down. Let's make this 75. Real dark back there on the muggy. Wanted this to look wet and dingy. Don't want it to be bright. So like cell shading, let me just go in and block out these big blobby, the real dark bits. The undershadows. I'm zoomed out way too much, and that's why my thing is doing that. I got a 3rd viewer now again. One is me, the other is Tom. Moon went away. So, howdy, other viewer. Do you want to say hi in the chat? If you don't, that's cool too. I just like the interactive nature of this. Anyway, look at what I'm going to do with this. I'm just going to knock this back too. Cell shading. This is 50. This is 50. And oddly, in Photoshop, when things are set to multiply, 50 plus 50 isn't 100% black. There's math involved that I don't understand completely. Normal Asylum. That's a friggin' cool name. Hello to you too. Hope you like the weird thing I'm working on tonight. This is going to end up being a sculpture. Lord willing, I'll be able to make this into a thing, but yeah. Yeah, what even is it, man? It's gonna be some kind of weird creature. It'll be a physical sculpture by the time I'm done, I hope. But tonight is about drawing in a live stream just to see if I can. Am I personable enough? Do people hate the sound of my voice? But can I also get the music thing sorted out? Because I can't do this without music. Music is a huge part of my personal creativity, so I had to find a bunch of royalty-free music. I had to get a plugin for OBS. Hopefully, since I don't have the time to give all those people individual credit, it saves my sanity because, yeah. Yeah, man, I certainly am, because I come from a concept art kind of background. I work in a very iterative way. And so, tonight, I sat down going, I need to draw something. What am I going to draw? I said, well, maybe I'll work out on camera what my next sculpture will look like. So that lets me also make an illustration. And then I fully believe that if you don't measure it, then it's not science. If you're not, so then when I'm all done, I'll be able to compare this. The final sculpture, I'll be able to compare it to this and see, hey, am I any good? I know I'm actually kind of good. I showed off some of my sculpting work earlier, but am I consistent? How close does this look to like some of the other things that I've sculpted? Do I have a style? Like when you think of Tim Burton, you think of a certain style, not just that the man is into some kooky stuff. So, do I have a style? I don't know. I think I'm still kind of a freshman artist in some regard, that I don't know if I have a style. I know that I want part of it to be that Moebius like thin line. What happened to my brush? There we go. Anyway, come in here with a blending brush, and it was a little too aggressive. Smooth out some of these edges. See, that's how I cheat too. I'll lay down my hard lines, then I'll come and I'll smooth them out. And I did the zenithal highlighting that way too on my masks recently, and it turned out real good. Oh, I forget this brush has a thing where it will randomly pick a different size. I don't mind that, just let's turn it down. Some of these I want to be hard shadows, some of them I don't. Let's turn this off for a minute. Yeah, that's kind of helpful, right? Alright. Let's get some big blobby shadows in here, just to define the shape. The shape is kind of like this, right? And back up in here. And this, and that. And again down in here. I'm just working real fast. I'll come in here, I'll clean it up later. That's why we're doing each of these on different layers. I just want to get this blocked in to inform myself of the shape. Again, multiply. 50, knock it way down. Here, whoa, wrong tool. Here I want to come in and smudge it. Let's make that a hard line and that one edge soft and one edge hard, so. That looks a little better. See, that's one of the reasons why I didn't care to clean this up from the get-go, is I knew this was going to get a little smudgy and I can come in here and erase it. See, just more and more and more and more I'm laying this down. In fact, this all should, with these big shadows, this all should be shadow, right? Maybe I'll let these braids of grass, maybe I'll let these blades of grass catch some light. But right now, these big blobby shadows. That might be part of their evolutionary downfall, because these rocks are going to be fairly well lit, but you know, from the top, these guys kind of look like the rocks. See how I made them look kind of the same? If you're staring at these guys, you know, from too much taller down and they're not hiding amongst the rocks, vacuuming up the little creatures, you never know, man. They, I bet that the high contrast up underneath here kind of gives them away. Mention all that since us humans are pretty good at pattern recognition and spotting prey, right? That's what they say. So I'm laying in some value right now. I'm coming back here and I'm chiseling it back. This is the big values. I like this sticking out a little bit like a nose. Just enough catching the light. It's just bulbous enough. This too. This too, right here. So just a little bit of darkness up in there. Back behind the eye. Ooh, yep, that helps inform it, right? Yeah. That's that ridge that I was trying to play with earlier and I just wasn't coming up with. That's the chickage. You're the boy man now, dog. What? Yeah, so then these shadows need to be thinner. These need to be the little ambient occlusion shadows. These need to be the catching the real dark places. Let's tune this back to something. And that's a little too bright. Let's make it 33%. Let's make these 66, 50. That's fine. All right. And I were like, maybe I should zoom in. Sometimes I have a weird resolution on this monitor, so sometimes I work zoomed in, sometimes too zoomed out. Really the only boon is before this one that my brother gave me, I didn't have any, I didn't have a 16:9 ratio, so I suffer through some of the idiosyncrasies of this monitor because I am grateful that I even have it. I think that's enough shading information. It gets my idea across. I'll knock it back a little bit. 42 and 42 and 42. Everything's set to 42. And I'm going to come in and add a levels on top of this anyway, so. I see what I did wrong with these flowers. I put their shadow on this big blobby layer. And I really want those insides to be more like the ambient occlusion color, so. Because for big blobby shadows, they should have some. Wrong layer again. Here we go. What you looking at? Don't. Zoom in some so I don't gimp myself like I was just saying I might. And again, we really just want the overhang. We'll get the other shade in there in a minute. I appreciate your company tonight. Sometimes I forget to, what the hell am I going to talk about next? But, I found in those situations, if you have to speak gratitude. So, I'm happy that you're here tonight. I'm happy that I'm making art. I'm happy that I got a certain solidarity with some friends on YouTube right now. That my signal is even being received is a minor miracle, right? That's great. And then I hope to do a supercut of this after the fact, a sped up version or just a highlight reel. These fat rolls need to come and have some of their own dimensionality. I need to consider this curve all the way around. Little lumpy chicken fat roll legs. Gross and fun. Oh yeah, and I said I might use real chicken bones on the inside, because that's fun and gross. I totally could. There's a little bit of a angle to this. It might be in here. You might have a little bit of a shadow going off the platform. And the nice thing is we're really just trying to get the hint of some of these shades down, because I can go in and paint a grayscale layer over the top of all this here in a minute. Let's get these big blobby background shadows in. Imagine most of this is in shadow thanks to this foliage. This whole dude is going to be in shadow, except for maybe the top of him, because, well, consistency. All of this. I really just want to stab it in. I'm not too worried about it right now, because I'm going to blur it out a little bit. Oh yeah, and this whole patch back here I knew I wanted in shade, so as to not detract from his trunk. Hope you guys are mildly entertained by watching the evolution of this. Let's turn off the... Oops. I'm going to use the lasso tool later to punch this in from off the side. Just blobby shadows because they're not too important. And then decide, not in too many places since they're on rock, but where do I want to make that blurred? Where do I want to make it a hard edge? Especially up and back here, right? Want it to have a little bit of a gradient to it. And down here too, right? Just make it soft. Working in layers, building up the light, deciding what we want the shape to be. The big shadows. So now with my little ambient occlusion shadows, I'll come down in here. Paint some underside. Paint some underside under the moss. Dude, why is he whispering? Why is he chittering like the predator? Yeah, I don't know. Probably needed to take another swig of coffee. And so one of the things that you might see is I'm just worried I'm focusing on value. Soon I'm going to be dropping in. Oh yeah, let's paint this in. Soon I'm going to be dropping in a layer for details. I'll show you how I do that. It actually has a little more to do with color than other stuff. Thank you for saying so. I'm really glad that you find as strange as in this. I hope that my voice is not too jarring. And I hope that the music is laid back, that it gives, you know, the vibe that I want. So that value that you just saw here was just shadows. Now I'm going to do something else with white. And yeah, I'm going to come in. I'm going to hit these areas. But they're not going to stay white. They're not going to stay like that. Because right now they're a little too white. They're a little too much contrast. So I'm going to put them on overlay. Overlay is nice because overlay doesn't do anything on 50% gray. Overlay kind of amplifies everything else. And so overlay is actually really good. It's what I was going to say about those other details, but maybe I should do them here. Yeah, maybe I'll do them right here. So I'll start. That's my first white, is getting in those shiny things. Oh yeah, and I said that I want the grass to be a little shiny, so what's going on? Oh, I'm on the blur. See how it's lightening that up? Lightening it up. It's blobby, it's not clean yet. I do a let's go in and clean things up pass after a bit. What's most important is that we get the idea of it all down. And let's say that his snout is like a leathery, it just is enough. It's not dripping with goo, but it's moist enough, shiny enough. Probably some little bits of his bird knuckles, right? And definitely his talons. I haven't made his talons super black yet, but I'll come in and buff one side and leave the other straight, like I've been saying. And here, because of the texture I want, I actually want the underside of these to be blurred, and see how that automatically creates a transition that we didn't have before. Just a little bit right there. There we go. And now if you zoom out, so I think that this layer is just turned up too bright, but if we knock it down to something like even 60%, it's still more than there was before. So that's good, right? These fronds out here might get some white, especially if I consider where my light might be coming from. They'll get a little bit more rim lighting. The tops of these rocks at fun angles need to get some stark white lighting. And maybe there's a patch of light around here now and then, see? And I'll put in a little crown of light to make this pop a little bit better. Golly, I hate that term. Pop, whatever, man. But then these dudes need some, right? Need a little bit of a rim light. And my original brush size was 15, so I'm going to go back to that for some of these. These edges need to be bright here. Just a little bit of a rim light. Down here to apply the direction of this fold. Shoo. And then again, we'll come in and we'll, in some places and not others, we'll smooth this out. In fact, I want the inverse. I want it smooth. I want it hard where it kind of folds over. Alright. Let's get my mic turned up just a little more. As I croak on, my voice gets a little more tired, so... The other thing I'll do when I'm a little more satisfied with this scheme is I will go in and, like I said, just start color picking the gray scales. Knock this back more. And knock these down. So if I knock these down to 42% to 33%. I want it to be dark, but not too dark. I guess that's gonna have to do. Thank you, Mr. Normal Asylum. He says, I'm working it like a pro. I'd like to pretend I'm good at something. Alright, so I was doing some details in here. Oh yeah, and I want this to be a little soft. But, yeah, let's do some real soft black and white lines. So, what's he doing? Well, I'm going to come in here where the light should be hitting it and just put these in just on the edge, again where I think the light would be. And with overlay, knock it way back. See, just enough. 25% is good for these details. Just enough that you start to just see the hint of it right there. I need some ambient occlusion down here too. But see, that's the nice thing, is I don't have to really remember what color I was working with. I just have to remember that I was working with black or white, and then I had the layer opacity pushed back to different levels. So that's why I like working this way to start with, just to focus on value where I would not have before. Let's take the edges of these and thin them out. And this is looking pretty good. Since I am sculpting with white here, I'll get the sand down here a little bit too. Well, that's black, but it's fine. See how I'm putting bright specks where I'm hitting this, making it just a little bit lighter. I'm going to do that with the black here in a minute too. I could do it on the same layer because normally I do like them both at 25%, so why the hell not? Let's come down here, but again, just in the shadows. I have a layer like this, but it's not this exact same layer. See how down here it's blending together? So, and in fact, that might be a good way to do this down here. Get a little bit of these smaller shapes, give them some roundness. And again, we talked way back in here when I sculpt this. Am I going to give him some weird teeth? Some big... I don't know, man. I haven't figured that out yet. Could be fun. But I'm really just hatching along, cross-hatching. I don't care how clean this is because this is more like just details. I do this a lot when I've got a big metal panel or something. I'll work little scratches and highlights into it even early on so that I know, hey, especially if it's big and kind of up front, it needs those details. I'll put a couple pock marks back here just to dirty this shit up. Maybe some, I like some round shapes in the moss. But really these scratches, these cracks, maybe these stems and the fronds. But yeah, just little details, just enough to call it out, because I'm going to call this almost good on the value. I don't see too much more. Maybe there's some rim light. I think I'll try that with this layer since I already did it. Hey, Normal Asylum, thanks for coming out. I'm really happy that you were here at all, and yeah, you can always tune in too after it gets archived and see how it turned out. I might post it to my social media pages. Look me up on G+ or Facebook at Andrew Chasen Design. We've been doing this for 2 hours and 35 minutes, which is good. I like to take a break every hour. This is kind of my mini break. Let's just stare at it. What do you think? What do you think so far, Fractopia? Mr. Todd. You've got to hear some of my reasoning in all this, so you're the one who can give me the most input. Bit of a rim here just to give the idea that this might be shiny. Oh yeah, and up underneath here I wanted some bounced light. All right, let's take this entire value and let's do a layer called, let's do a group called adjustments. ADJ. Here's my levels. And yeah, I'm gonna come in here and darken and lighten, because I don't want any true blacks, huh? No, not too dark. And then you do this A test or B test? How's it looking, man? A or B? The nice thing about these is I can take that effect and say, well, I like it, but I only want it to be half as strong. And in fact, we can come in here and do brightness and contrast. Maybe we brighten it, but we also bump up the contrast. See, I'm thinking that that's looking actually pretty good. Let's turn my levels down to half as strong. Let's do 33. Brightness and contrast, 50. Not bad. Not bad. All right, let's hide these things. Come in here and clean this layer up. I'm gonna go to my value, and on top of it, with no other adjustment layers turned on, I'm gonna grab. Oh, is it calling out my key modifiers? That's cool. Anyway, now I'm not painting with black and white. Now I'm gonna paint with whatever color I pick up when I hold Alt. And I'm gonna clean up. I don't have to clean up too much. I don't need this to look pristine, especially since it's just the background. I'm always pushing Alt, trying to get the real color. See how this is blending, and it's not. Because it's a gradient, it wasn't exactly what it needed to be in every band that I color pick from. But it's definitely, I mean, I can blend the upper levels back in. And I can blend that back in easier because this is a layer on top of everything else. So it's almost like I'm blurring, but I'm only blurring what I'm putting on top of everything else. Fun little cheat. Here I'm actually going to apply a little bit of color and just grab the darkest things I can. And I think down in here there'll be some real shadows, some real dark stuff, but you know, this is also a nice limiter because I don't have any true blacks in here. Whew, that was a little disorienting. Anywhere else I need to clean up? Not too badly. Maybe along in here. Dude, this song is cool. Exotica. I didn't get to listen to some of this music before I drafted it into play for tonight, so this is really looking good. I don't want to add too much detail to the bald head. I don't want it to be gross. I might come in and darken this up just a little bit though. It's too dark. How about down here? The other nice thing about color picking this is it's kind of like a sphere. You know, I know that as I go down and around the edge, I'm going to get my darker colors that I need to pick from, so. And then I can also take the time to work some highlights back into here. And blur the edges. You know, even though I'm a dude, I've watched some makeup tutorials, and that's kind of how they do it. They'll lay down a color, they'll decide which edge they want to be the hard edge and which the smooth, if there are any hard edges, and they just come in and they buff it out, and then they'll apply another layer. And as a dude who's into doing paints, there's actually real value in borrowing from that, so. Alright, now I'm about to do my fun color hack that I've been doing on some of my art. This is the new way I'm doing stuff, thanks to a dude named Sketchcraft. So, here are these adjustments turned on. I'm still liking those. And I'm going to make a whole folder called Color. And I'm going to use a gradient map. Now this thing is great because it looks at your whole picture up underneath there. And it remaps. I need to drag this up here. It remaps the colors from dark to light. So this end is black, but see, I have it black. Duh, of course it's black. And this is white. Well, no. Say I want all my darks, and in this case, I want them to be a little green. So I want my darks to be a kind of purple, maybe, or a pale gray. Plenty dark. We'll say the saturation is, there we go. So already I'm starting to color this thing. We'll say the light coming in, because it's all, I wanted it to be dingy. It's kind of a pale green. So automatically I've taken all those values, but I've given them hue. Say on the brightest spots, he's kind of a sickly yellow. In fact, the luminance of this color I've chose is 63 or 62. So I'm going to put that at location 63 or 62. This thing here, this thing is the luminance of, trying to double click it with my, it's a brightness of 9, so yeah, I'll put it around 10. Or a little less, yeah. So you can already see that I've tinted this whole thing. And I can grab these and adjust, kind of adjust the curves. I can set this to color, I can set it to soft light, I can set it to overlay, but this time I like color. Now pull up the only Photoshop plugin I've ever paid for. That is to say, that I have found to be immensely worth paying for. This is Colorus. It's got this fancy wheel. It gives me these mixers. Yeah, maybe I'll use this mixer. I say, well, this thing has given me this color right here. But I want it to be a little more like this color here. Let's mix them together. I'll set this guy a color also. See, now I'm making him a little more vibrant in these gray places. Down around the eye. And again, I'm just going to blend these in here in a minute. In fact, all my colors should be under my lines. So, for now anyway. But yeah, into my wife's mask, I worked out a hue, a nice blend from yellow to, what color is this? Yellow to green. For the moss on the cheeks. And so that's what I'm doing here. And again, I love this big blurry brush. But I can come in and blur it up and blend it in and just get a sense of the color that I want. I don't normally work this way, but this is a new thing I've been trying, and I'm finding that it works out all right for me, so. And maybe the tips of these fronds I make really, let's say, really, yeah, saturated blue down in here. Down in the shadows are really dark blue shadows. Excuse me. I like that kind of peacock gradient. And this is all just set to a color layer. So I need to choose a meaty color for his legs to get some vibrancy. And for that, I think I'm going to do another gradient ramp. But this time, after I get the colors locked in, I'm going to paint with a mask where... That's a fun color. I'm going to paint in with a mask where I want it to lie. This is a good kind of chicken skin color, I guess. I want it to be a little less saturated up on his brow. Not a lot. I guess a little more pushed towards the red when I paint this. Excuse me. And again, I'll set this to color. And see how it overrides everything I was just working on. Well, come in here and flood this with why is this not working the way that it should? My hotkeys have failed me. Oh, another button must be getting pushed. Fine, you jerks. There. Fine. I inverted it. So now, wherever I paint is going to be that. It's going to be the mask. It's going to be that weird saturation. I'll mess with the layers. I mean, this isn't looking a little... This is looking a little too red, so I need to push some things around. I guess I needed to get a little more orange as it blends down into his foot, the chicken foot. So yeah. Gotta take a quick minute to get some coffee. And some water. Let's zoom out. Where'd my mouse go? I forget that I'm just on a little bit of a lag to the outside world as the stream coalesces outside these walls before being sent out. And this is just one way of doing it, and how I wanted to do it tonight. Sometimes I work in flat comic book-like colors, but this gives me a better sense for the different... for the palette I'm gonna have to have. Oh yeah, and this meaty bit goes around eyeballs too. I'll come in here and get those eyelids out of the way here in a minute. Looks a little stoned, man. Maybe you know how it goes. he had a rough week or whatever, dude. And then, well, because we do and we can, we'll blend that all together. See. Masks are fun! And I really liked the gold color that I had on my mask, my real mask, my Halloween mask. I normally never work with yellow for some reason. So to bring it in as a natural, naturey contrast color, I like it. I don't want to go overboard with it though. I don't know what to do about his fronds in the back. I think maybe I forgot to put that I'm doing this in my personal stream. Leave this page. Of course I didn't. Derp. I think it's still in my clipboard. Nope. That's something from Photoshop. I'm doing a thing. I'm doing it live. Here we go. We'll see who is up at 1:30 a.m. All right. Oh yeah, he needs this on top of his head too, right? So that color needs to be a little more golden, a little less pink. A little less diseased looking. I mean, I know he's kind of going bald, but come on. Let's come in here and edit the gradient map. Well, if this is on a spectrum, then there we go. Alright, that's color mode right there, folks. It's doing enough of what I wanted to. Just enough. Really digging this music, though. Alright, this needs to be a color layer. Yeah, this is really starting to come together. I'm enjoying it. If all this is set to color, color, then let's blend it together and then just set it back to color. That didn't work out. Why the hell not? Why not? Let's set it all to normal. There we go. Ooh, that's looking strange. What's all this then? Why is that not working out? Oh well, let's not try and blend them then. Color. And this skin one, maybe it can be set to overlay. Soft light. Normal is actually looking pretty good. There we go, that looks better. Sometimes you've got the rote way of doing things that you've always done, and you just need to break out of that because it's not always the right way to do things. Alright, this guy's looking a little blobby. I'm going to come in and do a quick little cleanup, and here I just got a layer that I'm color picking from. Getting these, making sure that these have blue tips is kind of fun. Because then I can feather them back. Looking over, still just Fractopia and myself, and hey man, that's a-okay, I guess. But yeah, once you start adding base color to your thing, then you can come in and actually just have a lot more confidence to grab the paint tool and work this stuff in here. I like these darker shadows down in here. Starting to look good. I gotta figure out what I'm gonna do with those things in the back though. His tail feathers. I don't want them to be too peacock-like, but I do want them to exist. I guess I need to look at a turkey. Make them a little more turkey-like. Turkey tail feathers. I mean, there's what I have in my imagination of what they probably look like and what they actually look like, and I want to land somewhere in the middle, right? Oh, they actually have a horizontal cross-hatching, which is not uncool. I want to make them a dark green. I'm gonna do this for the first time in my stream, but changing the song because I'm not a fan of it. Sorry. Sorry, not sorry. Using my mixer to blend my fore and background color together because I know that I want this to be a blue. Excuse me, a darker green. Especially down in the shadows. What we do in the shadows. That was a good TV show, or yeah, they're making a TV show. It was a good little movie. Color as an overlay layer kind of fights with the bottom color sometimes. So you can see here I'm adding a hue to this, but it's not exactly the way I would want it. Need to find a better blending mode. Sometimes that means just walking through them. It's actually a lot more like what I want. Right, that's looking blobby, but not bad from a distance. Remember to always walk it back. 25% is going to be my final target for this stuff. Let's get the idea across. I don't want to quit yet. I don't feel like I'm done. But maybe it needs an adjustment layer. It's not quite feeling like I want to quit. I don't want to call this good yet. Some of the ground needs to get painted, some of the rocks. Yeah, let's just add in some, I can even steal from this. Let's blend between these two colors for a quick muddy ground color. That stops right about here, right? Oh, I gotta paint this little guy in some broad strokes too, which will be good to force me to figure out what the hell he looks like from far away. And see, I don't mind if I splash some of this stuff up on the rocks, because if it's bright enough, then you get a little bit of that radiosity going on, where the underside would pick it up because it would reflect off. Especially if the underside is brighter than especially if the ground is brighter than the underside of the rock. Even on something so stylized and cartoony, I try and think about how light actually works. I'm rather fascinated with light, always have been. If I had a lot more money, I'd have just weird chandeliers that I made and rooms dripping with light. As far as grays go, this is actually preferable. Or browns, rather. So, yeah. Maybe I'll blend this down a little bit better, but in a downwardly direction, that is. Yeah, I don't mind the background looking all dingy, because that's kind of what I wanted. Kind of a gray and green, wet color palette. In fact, if that's true, then his base needs a little bit of brown, right? That might have been what I was lacking to tie this whole thing together. And I think I'm going to make the ring around the base brown too, but a different, I want it. He's essentially going to be a A monster token. Just an albeit a big one. So I want him to have a base. So the other nice thing about being blobby like this is I can use one shape to remove another shape. So I don't want this anywhere where I just had the other brown, so I can highlight it since this is Photoshop and just say delete. It helps me work a little faster. Turn this to overlay. Turn this to multiply. See, those are too dark. Turn this to color. Turn that to normal. It's not too bad looking, actually. We're almost done. We're almost to the part of the show where I faff about with the adjustment sliders till I get them right how I want them. Need to take the median color off of these and color in these little backgrounds. Hey, Jace Hancock. I don't know where you might have come across my link, but I'm really glad you're here. It's nice to have someone else. Let me zoom out for a minute. And I never took my 3-hour break, but I don't really need one. So this is a thing that I've been working on, working with some other folks to, you know, push and pull and help come up with some design decisions. And then in the end, he's actually going to be a little guy that I model. I've been doing some sculptures and, yeah. He's somewhere between a Cubert that was not intentional. For a while, he looked like a Snuffy from Sesame Street. And then, yeah, this is him now. Well, so you're a complete outsider to all my social media endeavors. Thank you for being here. I mean, thank you for being here regardless, but I don't know what I marked this as. Education. Oh, education and public. Art and bullshit, so I guess that worked enough. I haven't even put in a description yet, so, but I'm learning how all this works, so. Anyway, if I wanted to do some other details, what I would do is come in here. If I wanted to really clean this up, I'd come in here and grab some of these and just help blend the highlights together more. Take some of these colors and just get this transition to be a little fluffier. You can see from a distance how that looks just a little bit better. You take the value above it. Yeah, work from the bottom. Take the value above it, blend it down. Take the value above it, blend it down. Losing this shadow that I had in here. But that's the other nice thing, is I can come in here and use my sweet blendy tool and oh no, he ruined it. We all have that Bob Ross moment where they're like, oh no, he ruined it. But I assure you, this is really just to unify the color palette I'm going to have to use when it comes time to paint this. And to give him a little more, slightly fuzzier look. That's why I want this to be a little muddier, not so crisp. Oh yeah, I was painting. I'm actually going to have to lasso these out, but I was painting these peaks. There we go. Paint them in. I need the color to... I need the background to contrast just a little bit better. I'm going to leave the rocks a little lifeless and dull like that. A swampy droogle. I think that's a fine name for him. This is a male swampy droogle. You can tell by the look in his eyes. The females have even more of a scowl. This one's going to get a hue shift because I need it to be a little more yellow. And why not just use that same area to bump up the brightness and the contrast. There we go. Alright, I have 1,000,001 layers. It is 3 hours in, so I'm going to go ahead and save it. But, yeah. And then I'm going to color this dude with these colors we came up with real quick. To make his transitions a little blurrier, given he is in the background. He doesn't need to be super clean looking. I guess the one last thing I'm going to do, I need to color these footprints in. Knock that back down a little. Grab some of these highlights, little pools of water. A swampy droogle. Now I'm going to try some other stuff here. Here's my colors, here's my values, and my adjustments. I'm having a bit of a problem. I just don't like... Alright, let's come in here and put a sphere right here. A sphere of light. Shink. It's not what I wanted to do, actually. Oh, that's where I had my water. Pools of water. Here we go. A sphere of light right there. Right here. It's a little better. Overlay. I just want to punch up and down some other things. See how I want to highlight his forehead just a little. I want to knock the rest of it back. And I think for value's sake, if I can get away with it, I'll add some atmosphere in the background. I have to do that over the top. I normally don't work this way, but let's do that here. I'm just going to have to delete some of this in a minute, but let's just go ahead and blob it in. And then the top sides I'm going to blur out to make all foggy looking. Because we did say it was a swampy Droogle. It's not just a regular Droogle. This is a male swampy Droogle. Now I can come in here. Because of variable pin pressure, I can come in here and kind of chisel out where this fog isn't. When I set it to overlay, hopefully it will really start to shine. It's a decent enough song. Again, half these songs I didn't really get a chance to listen to before I added it to this repertoire. Be a little more careful with my line work sometime. About to work on my effects layer, which is probably my favorite part, so that really pops. I like that. Swampy Droogle. Let's set our background color to black. Let's not. Let's set the inverse of this mask to black. There we go, that's pretty good looking. Okay, I'm gonna do something that I normally don't, but I'm just gonna collapse everything for some paint over time. And this includes my other lines, actually. Maybe I should have left my lines out of it. Oh well. Let's go back to just before I did that and leave my lines out of it. Ugh, what was that? There we go. Just want to clean this up. If I leave it too dingy, I don't know, it seems a little desperate. It seems like I was just going too fast because I could. I want there to be a certain professionalism to it, kind of like off in this corner. Oof. I just see little imperfections, and some of these might even average out when I'm getting to the point where I'm gonna do something very much like this anyway, so do some adjustment layers, mess with the curves, and then just call it good. But again, some of these details are just a little too much. Too amateurish. Gotta hold yourself to a certain level of quality, I guess, right? And yet, I'll also not get caught up in the details, so 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. Some of these things are hard to reconcile even within yourself, so. All right. Some of those things, when we're at 16 or 25%, can't even be seen, so. I'm gonna make these a little more interesting and able to adopt the top of their head color. All right, let's do some adjustments and call this, well, not quite good, but yeah, done. A 4-hour stream almost. I think that's admirable, right? I did all right tonight. I did this. It weren't so bad. Darken the shadows, let's beef up the mids. Just minor adjustments now, right, man? The only real bummer is that this might look different on my monitor than it does yours, but I think it gets the idea across. One part that's been bugging me is down in here. I just can't leave this alone. Whoa. That's not what I want. Do we need to go darker? That's where this lab color thing that I preach about comes in handy. 14, what's darker? 5 is darker. Let's do it. So this is super dark down in here. Just fine. Yeah, this has been way too chunky. Like, it's been bugging me. I need a lighter. I need to transition a little bit better. Well, now you can see how just like that you can just brighten some things up by color picking from ideas you've already established, so. Looking good, looking all right. So let's mess with the levels. Let's mess with the color balance. So this says in the midtones, I want my midtones to be more cyan and green, maybe even a little more yellow. I want my shadows to be a little more red, right? Red and magenta and yellow. I want my highlights to be rather yellow, green, red. Maybe my shadows need to be a little more blue and red. That looks like a hot mess right now. I agree with you, but luckily we can tone that way down. So just punch it in just a little. Now that's looking good. Might want to mess with my brightness and contrast. Less contrast is actually good sometimes. And let's There was one more thing I wanted to do. Maybe another levels. Oh no, it was a vibrance. Where's vibrance? This is going to boost the saturation on the entire picture, but try and not mess with the skin tone so much. And again, I can tune this up and down. And the last thing that I want to show you is by keeping this, by keeping all these adjustments in a group, I can shut them off. I do a lot of A and B, A and B. How does this look? And I can also turn them down. The whole group, I can turn the whole group up and down. Maybe I'm like, oh, all of that crap I just did was way too strong. I like the original just a bit. One last thing. Oh yeah, I want to add effects and or rim lighting. So yeah, that's two things, but I can do them in one. So let's do adjustment layers. I'll save it. Effects. We'll let that include rim lighting today. Rim lighting, I'm going to come and grab this cool foggy color. Literally cool. Cooler. I'm going to come in and draw it on the edge of some shit and set it to screen. Though he's picking up some edge highlights from off of left stage. Exit stage left even. Yeah, somewhere out here. I guess it'd catch, literally catch his eye. And up into some of these darker parts of his chicken meat, right? In fact, on the meat, we could stipple it for fun to show a weird scabby or moistness. That looks good, right? I think so. Let's add a little bit to this shiny grass stuff that we talked about. And definitely to these talons of his. Let's see what's going on here. This is just sloppy. Guess I needed to come down here and fix this up, huh? See if any rim light on his snout? Maybe a little bit. A swampy droogle. You've caught a rare swampy droogle. Go back 2 spaces. It's also fun how I can blend the edges of these highlights out. And now for effects, which I really like to do. This is my hotspot, right? So I'm going to come in and grab this dark color and just bleh. I actually need it to be more saturated. A little more orange. Bleh. See, my effects are above my lines, and so it makes them jump out like that. Makes them, it blends them together a little better. You can do that anywhere you got a hotspot, so. Got a couple hotspots here, there, maybe his eyes. And I'll just come and manually blend these. In fact, we'll say this should be its own layer, so I can compound them easier. Set all three of these to screen. So we're looking rather hot for hotspots. 2.5 should be fine. Well, looks good. It's without, with, just enough of a little boost. And it got me, well, it got me drawing anything at all tonight, right? That's always good. Guess the last thing to do is compress it for sharing. And put my little signature on it. So I'll do that way down here. Still 2018. Here he is. Now for compressing and sharing this, I take the whole thing. I copy it with Control-Shift-C to grab everything. It copies all the merged layers when you do that. And so for this, now I come down to image size, and again, I set this back to 72. You'll see that was about 25% this whole time. And for my pixels, I want to actually bump the height up to 800, because this is the time to do that. Pubic sharper. In fact, we're going to sharpen it some more. This is now 100%, but it lost a little bit of its sharpness. So now I copy these layers, and I come and I sharpen it to the extreme. I do a couple of these. I do sharpen, I do smart sharpen. This kind of averages out my mistakes. You see sharp, smart sharp. You can see super sharp on top. So I have these two layers, smart, sharp, and not, and I take them and I knock them down to 50%. So now they're blended on top of another copy. This is virginal, smart, sharp, much more sharp, blended down. A, B, still too much? Of course it is. Now I take that blended version and knock it down, because I want to be in control of just how those details choose to pop. Couple things. Sometimes I fix some of my mistakes after the fact. I'm going to come in here and grab this color and add a little bit of a highlight to his eye. And for up close, this is a little too blobby right here. A little too egregious. I think everything else looks okay. Giving it a quick once over. It looks fine. Some of these edges down here are a little mushy. But you know, this was just to get the idea across, so I don't mind. This one doesn't have to be a work of art. It's the final art that'll be the work of art, I hope. So yeah, that's the end of this stream. I'm going to share this file on social media after I get it saved. I thank all of you who did for watching, especially to This Is Fractopia, for sticking it out damn near the whole time. 3 hours and 38 minutes it took me to crank this out. This was a sprint. This was a test. This was a test of my equipment and my willpower, just to see if I could do it. And I did it. So I'll probably do more things like it. Thank you all for your encouragement. I'll let you know I'm going to be on Wobbly Python's Drawing Circus. That's Saturday, November 3rd at 7 p.m. Mountain Time. Shout out to Wobbly Python. Thanks for having me and other digital artists who want to do their thing. And yeah. Like my stuff, subscribe it. You can find me on Facebook at Andrew Chasen Design or on Google Plus as Andrew Chasen. Thanks again. Be well. This has been Into the Night with Incomitatum.